A lawsuit against a former private Saskatoon school before Saskatchewan's highest court. What's next in the case? Concern is raised over a Saskatchewan woman found dead inside a home with dozens of cats. And remembering a man known as Mr. Goalie, his hometown of Humboldt pays tribute and honors his mark on the game.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight at Saskatchewan's highest court. Former students of Saskatoon's Legacy Christian Academy have taken their lawsuit against the private school to the Court of Appeal. As Donovan Mace reports, they're looking to reserve a stay in the suit.
A lawsuit against Saskatoon's Legacy Christian Academy is back in court as lawyers representing former students of the private Christian Academy argue a Court of King's Bench judge erred in law by staying the civil suit due to an abusive process. 22 former students first bringing forward their litigation against the academy in August of 2022, seeking $25 million in compensation, alleging they suffered various forms of abuse while they attended the school. In June 2025, a judge dismissing the civil suit, saying the plaintiffs failed to immediately disclose settlement agreements with 3 defendants, adding the settlement agreements significantly altered the litigation landscape. Now, in his arguments Thursday to a panel at the Court of Appeal, the lawyer representing the former students, Grant Sharfstein, saying a stay of proceedings is the ultimate remedy granted only in certain cases, and the abuse falls at the high end of the spectrum of seriousness. Instead, the Chamber's judge opted to implement a rigid rule which predetermined the remedy. Sharfstein continuing, saying staying this action has absolutely denied the appellants and the entire proposed plaintiff class of their day in court and their access to justice. Respondent lawyer Amanda Quayle countering to say justice is a two-way street. We asked them for the agreements. They told us to go pound sand. Through questioning, the appeal panel asking why the court cannot have additional discretion in their reasoning for more nuanced circumstances. Chief Justice Robert Lure asking if there were any other similar cases where a stay became automatic. The respondents saying not in their experience. Now, the Court of Appeal reserving its decision to a later date with a ruling expected in the coming months. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
Residents on the Peter Ballantine Cree Nation are being urged to reduce water consumption following a failure with the community's water system. The First Nations leadership says a critical failure is limiting the amount of water going into the water treatment system. There are concerns this could force the system to shut down and freeze up if reservoir levels drop too low. Vice Chief Justin Hellcrow says the next couple of days are critical and that emergency water tankers have been brought in to maintain water circulation as crews try to fix the problem. As a precaution, the community is under a boil water advisory with residents asked to conserve consumption. Schools in Pelican Narrows are closed for the rest of the week and other public facilities may remain closed or could reduce capacity. We've reached out to the federal government about the situation and are awaiting a response. A 34-year-old man has died after the vehicle he was driving hit a moose. It happened just before 7:30 last night along Highway 15 south of Watrous. The driver was the only person in the car. He died at the scene. He was from the George Gordon First Nation. Prince Albert police are asking anyone with information on the fire that destroyed the Salvation Army on Christmas Day to come forward. Investigators with the fire department found multiple areas where flames originated within the building and determined it was human-caused. Police have also now joined the investigation and are working to determine if the fire was a criminal act and deliberately set. Neighboring business Fresh Air Experience says it's alarming the fire could have been the result of arson.
I'm not sure, how to kind of process it and move forward because, if someone's going to do that to an organization that provides such an important service to our community, it's as a society, it's tough. It's tough to handle.
Police are reminding people they can submit tips directly to the service or anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Preliminary hearing dates have been set for a man accused of fatally shooting a woman on a Saskatchewan highway. Chris Fallman is scheduled to have a week-long hearing this fall in Weyburn starting October 21st. Fallman is accused of first-degree murder in the death of Tanya Myers, who died after being shot in a moving vehicle on Highway 39 near Weyburn last September. The accused also faces a count of intentionally firing a gun while being reckless to the life and safety of another person. Saskatoon police have laid dozens of charges following its third retail blitz of 2025. The first was last May in the Confederation Park area of Saskatoon, dubbed Project Shield. The initiative sees officers with various units of the police service work with loss prevention officers and private security to target theft and other crimes. During December's blitz carried out on 6 days at businesses throughout Saskatoon, 30 people were arrested. 15 of those were repeat offenders and 10 were considered violent. 42 charges were laid and more than $2,600 worth of stolen merchandise was recovered. We are learning more tonight about what led up to a woman's death inside a Wynyard home where more than 40 cats were rescued earlier this week. Sierra D'Souza Butts spoke to some residents who feel the incident could have been prevented.
When Wynyard RCMP conducted a wellness check at a residence in town on January 2nd, they found 2 women inside, one of whom had died. The other woman was connected with necessary health care.
People did know these ladies. They had been sort of shut-ins for a long time, but everybody that knew them liked them. You know, they were not ostracized in the community. People did like them.
The house was being warmed by space heaters and was filled with garbage piled several feet high. Mozart's Empathy Animal Sanctuary was called in to help remove dozens of cats from the home, with more believed to be inside.
They're just coming out of nowhere. We're not sure where they were.
Veronica Hermiston says she could tell the cats were loved and cared for, adding she has seen cases like this before.
We go into homes and we help people that have overpopulation problems with cats and dogs. So yes, we could have helped sooner, for sure, or just taken them a little bit at a time from the family, and many things like that, preventative care.
A close family friend who did not want to appear on camera says the woman who died was an incredible person, and it's sad it had to come to this, wishing someone would have stepped in sooner. Adding she fed the animals better than she fed herself, and the health system let her family down. Now, the community is asking for support for families who find themselves or their loved ones in similar situations.
There just needs to be the ability for systemic intervention into severe mental health issues and not have to wait until the person is in such bad condition that they become an immediate threat to themselves.
Questions still remain about what will happen to the home. CTV News has reached out to the town of Wynyard for comment, but did not hear back in time for broadcast. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Wynyard.
One of Saskatchewan's greatest hockey players has died. The man known as Mr. Goalie, Glenn Hall, was 94. CTV's Stacey High now on his legacy both on the national rink and here at home.
Nicknamed Mr. Goalie, Hockey Hall of Famer Glenn Hall has died at age 94.
Obviously, everyone's, very upset about it. He lived a full, long life, which we're very happy about, and obviously accomplished a lot of amazing things.
Born and raised in Humboldt, Hall rose from small-town roots to national fame. Over the course of 18 NHL seasons, he set a record that still stands. 502 consecutive games played in net. Hall won 2 Stanley Cups, was named Rookie of the Year in 1956, and earned Goaltender of the Year honors 3 times. He played barefaced for years before adopting a goalie mask.
I played the last 2.5 years in St. Louis with a little mask that something like the Lone Ranger used.
Hall was a pioneer of the butterfly style of goaltending, dropping to his knees to stop the puck. He was also in net for one of the most iconic moments in hockey history, Bobby Orr's overtime goal that won the Stanley Cup for Boston in 1970. Veteran sportscaster Ray Morrison says Hall's success came from his deep understanding of the game.
He knew exactly what those players were capable of with regards to, their shot coming up ice, the threats that they posed.
Hall is a Prairie boy through and through. In a 2002 interview with CTV News, he spoke about his love for the country.
Probably enjoyed playing in St. Louis the most. Being a country boy, it's nice to just look across the fields.
Hall took great pride in his hometown. Humboldt's mayor says he never missed a chance to come home and spend time in the community.
Glenn was always a really nice guy, and he always made time to come to Humboldt, and he never forgot where he came from.
The city honored him by naming its main street Glen Hall Drive and dedicating a park and monument in his name. He's being remembered not only for his talent, but his personality.
His sense of humor was great, and everyone loved him. He was very warm and easy to talk to.
Hall leaves behind a lasting legacy on the ice and in the community he never forgot. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Jeff, I definitely think the warmth is in the air.
It definitely is. Now, today was a seasonal temperature in terms of daytime highs, but we had lots of sunshine, not much in the way of wind, and that's good news. Now, tomorrow, a similar sort of day, but then when we get to Saturday, things really start to change, and much of the province will be in plus temperatures as we get into the weekend, and the rest of the weekend, and next week. So right now, really not a lot to talk about. A little something, sort of a north-south line of flurry activity, sort of slagging across the province, not adding up to a lot, but at least we can make note of the fact that it's on the way. So we'll talk about the warm-up and those actual temperatures later on.
The last living member of Saskatchewan's former Tommy Douglas government has died. Kim Thorson was 93 years old. He was first elected to the legislature in 1956 and served as Minister of Industry and Commerce during the 1970s. Wayne Mantika reports.
At NDP headquarters, staff paused to reminisce about the life and accomplishments of Kim Thorson.
Young Kim enjoys politics. He was the youngest member elected at the time. He was 24 years old when he was first elected.
Thorson served one term in the Douglas government.
Some of my earliest memories are going to political meetings with Tommy Douglas speaking. And I guess that was the main inspiration.
It was an historic era as plans were made for Medicare.
That was the government that delivered on the dream and vision of Medicare. They changed our country and they changed healthcare forever. Kim and his incredible colleagues will not be forgotten.
Thorson spent a decade away from politics before being re-elected to a second term in 1971. He served as Minister of Industry and Commerce in the Blakeney government.
A real loss in terms of a legacy and a connection to a whole bunch of history about governments that made Saskatchewan a better place for everyone.
He was someone that later premiers relied on for advice.
As Premier, and I know the same can be said of Roy Romano, we counted on Kim's counsel for the years that we were in government.
Kim Thorson spent most of his life working as a lawyer in Estevan, Regina, and Weyburn. He was a longtime member of the Rotary Club and served on numerous boards. He is being remembered as a person deeply committed to his community. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
A Saskatoon tech company is leveraging AI to help solve a time-consuming problem for many small businesses. Says Keenan Sorokon explains it's part of an ongoing AI transformation.
Vendasta is playing its part in the global arms race for artificial intelligence. The small business software firm launched its latest offering meant to solve one of the more time-consuming and costly problems for its clients: unanswered reviews.
It's not just your reputation, it actually leads to revenue, bringing customers in.
The AI reputation specialist engages with reviews in real time. It can be trained in branding and company language to follow up, track trends, and ultimately save time and money. It's part of the company's fundamental shift to AI.
It's everything that we do.
Tech experts say the embrace of AI is impossible to ignore across all parts of commerce. If companies aren't using AI to solve problems, they're likely getting on board anyways.
They're not necessarily sure how it's going to improve
whatever it is they're trying to do. They just know that AI is good and that they should be doing AI.
As Vendasta rolls out its suite of AI employees, Gerhard warns the current form of AI can't completely replace the role of humans.
That it can do, 65, 85% of a person's job, but then there still is that extra work that can't be done by the machine.
Manchanda isn't shying away from what's possible or even unimaginable with AI at our fingertips.
Because not only is it changing everyday tasks for consumers, some workflows for businesses, it's actually making possible things that were never possible before.
Well, Gerhard cautions that optimism with lessons from the past, like the internet promising an age of enlightenment and social media bringing people together.
Years later, once they are mature and stable and everybody knows what they are, we find that their end result is somewhat different than we expected.
Keenan Sora-Khan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The final timber beam is now in place at Saskatoon's new downtown public library, a major construction milestone for the project that's set to change the city's downtown core. CTV's Laura Woodward takes a look at how the new building is taking shape.
Glass panels are going up, and inside the final timber beam is set.
We put our last mass timber beam up and had a little bit of a ceremony and celebration for that milestone, so that's pretty exciting.
Design and construction is just one piece of the project. Every book from the Francis Morrison Central Library will need to be moved, one shelf at a time.
It is a little logistically challenging, but to go shelf by shelf, a box will relate to a shelf, and you keep it all organized and move forward. Yeah, I've done this before, and the team has done this on branch scales, so we're really confident that it'll go well.
Staff will also be moving, and the library is planning to hire about 10 new positions. Beyond books, the library will include a children's play area, a gaming space, auditorium, and rooms designed for media production.
So we've got a learning kitchen, we've got innovation labs where you can do podcasting or green screen, video recording.
The project comes with a price tag of $150 million, about $16 million more than the original estimate. For the average Saskatoon homeowner, that translates to less than a $2 bump to the library levy this year. The construction began here in June 2024, and the building remains on track to open next year in 2027. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Someone in Saskatchewan is $18 million richer following a Lotto 649 draw last night. According to the Western Canada Lottery Corporation, a winning ticket for the Gold Ball draw was purchased somewhere in Saskatchewan, but it was outside of Saskatoon and Regina. The winning number for the Gold Ball draw, if you haven't checked yet, is 373-831-3006. The winner or winners have 1 year to claim their prize. Still to come, what a U.S. Supreme Court ruling could mean for Canada in the wake of Trump's tariffs. Also, outrage over the death of a woman killed by a U.S. ICE agent. You're watching CTV News Live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. In Minneapolis, there is growing outrage after the fatal shooting of a woman in her car by an ICE officer. All of it caught on camera. The Trump administration was quick to justify the shooting of the mother of three, but others see the deadly incident differently. With more, here is Joy Malvin in Washington.
ICE go home! ICE go home!
Tensions are high in Minneapolis. Armed, masked ICE officers using pepper spray and what appears to be gas on protesters outside of a federal immigration building.
What did he do?
Demonstrators demanding ICE get out of their city after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good, a mother and American citizen.
I watched in absolute horror as I saw a woman who was clearly trying to get away, gunned down.
Homeland Security says Good was blocking ICE agents with her SUV on disturbing video from several angles.
No!
She backs up. Agents shout and grab the door. She drives forward. As the car turns, shots are fired. Even before an investigation, the Trump administration, even the president himself, declared the shooting was justified, telling the New York Times Renee Good had behaved horribly. The vice president quickly blamed the mother, insisting a paid network of far-left radicals are responsible.
What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed.
As mostly peaceful crowds marched, state and local officials blasted the Trump administration, saying the FBI has cut them out of the investigation.
People in positions of power have already passed judgment. It feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome.
Minnesota's governor again pleaded with the Trump administration to leave his state alone to de-escalate the situation. Instead, the president plans to send another 100 ICE agents in. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
The U.S. has also decided to withdraw from dozens of international organizations. It comes after the Americans complained of mismanagement, calling for the system to be streamlined. Michael Couture on the decision and reaction.
The Secretary General regrets the announcement by the White House.
While expressing disappointment at the move by the U.S., the UN spokesperson also stressed that funding to a large number of United Nations bodies is mandatory for the United States.
Member states who've who've joined this club have to pay the dues.
The U.S. is the top contributor to the international body's budget, but the UN says Washington currently owes some $1.5 billion. Now, in a memo shared by the White House, the decision to withdraw the U.S. from 66 UN and international organizations came after a review of which ones are thought to be contrary to the interests of the United States. The list includes the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, the Global Counterterrorism Forum, and others, including the International Cotton Advisory Committee and the International Tropical Timber Organization.
The U.S. has been complaining for many years of the mismanagement of a lot of those organizations, the fact that, in fact, there are problems with their objectives, but also how they run.
The former Canadian diplomat points out the U.S. has not stepped away from major organizations like the World Bank and the UN Refugee Agency, but it is a blow to groups that did have American support. In a statement to CTV News, the executive secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change called the move a colossal own goal, adding it can only harm the U.S. economy, jobs, and living standards as wildfires, floods, megastorms, and droughts get rapidly worse. While the Canadian government hasn't commented on the U.S.'s move, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry said the value of international organizations lies in upholding shared interests, not national self-interest. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Some modest signs of stabilization in Canada's international trade numbers, with new data from October seeing little change in the trade balance and a smaller than expected trade deficit. But many have a close eye on tomorrow when the U.S. Supreme Court could rule on the legality of President Trump's use of emergency tariff powers. Abigail Beeman on the potential impacts for Canada.
Are they legal or are they not?
That's the big question that could be answered by the United States Supreme Court Friday about the American president's decision to impose so-called IEEPA tariffs. That's the International Emergency Economic Power Act on countries including Canada. This trade expert says impacted businesses should make sure to keep all paperwork.
Will the Supreme Court say that those tariffs that have been collected, if they are in fact illegal, then what happens to the money that's been collected to date? If it's supposed to then go back to those who it has been collected from illegally, then our clients and businesses in general will be looking to see some of that money refunded.
There's not a lot of optimism about a likely messy refund situation. Meanwhile, new numbers from October show Canada recorded a smaller than expected trade deficit overall.
The big takeaway is that things are kind of not moving all that much with the U.S. in terms of overall trade. They're kind of in a holding pattern. What we saw in contrast is that exports were through the roof for non-U.S. countries that we're sending goods to.
Donald Trump is still extolling the virtues of tariffs, posting Tuesday, "Thank you, you Mr. Tariff. Pray that the United States Supreme Court allows our country to continue its unprecedented march toward unparalleled greatness."
I think that the U.S. administration is going to continue to impose tariffs, irrespective of the outcome.
The Supreme Court's decision could also send a broader message about the American president's power.
Is the Supreme Court going to signal that even though there are other potential tariff legislation in the U.S. that the president could use, that maybe those are not going to be good either?
The Canadian government isn't saying much about the expected ruling. A source tells CTV News they are letting the judicial process follow its course and will continue to get ready for the upcoming free trade review. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, Jeff, the sun definitely making a difference today.
Yes, it certainly did. It was a pretty pleasant day to be out. And, we are going to be getting into a very slippery situation, a slushy situation as we head into the weekend. But next couple of days, not bad, actually. But let's take a look at our numbers. Going to bring those up for you right now. Our current temperature in Saskatoon is -14. In the Prince Albert region, it's -13 and -18 in the Battlefords. But as you can see, in all three locations, not particularly windy. The wind is going to pick up in the overnight and in tomorrow, though. We'll talk about more of that later on. Saskatoon's Almanac, well, seasonal temperatures today, -12 degrees. That's where we would typically be at in this early part of January. 9 degrees, the record warm temperature from way over a century ago. That was 1894. Another long-standing record on the cold side of things, -44 from 1909. And the sun went down at 5:14.
Coming up, Jeff is back with your entertainment options and a look at the game that's brought top football players to Saskatchewan.
Winter in Wascana goes this weekend in Regina. Friday on your morning, we are teeing up the Winter Festival, running Saturdays in the park with Wascana's CEO and ecologist.
Well, it's going to be warm right across the province, and some places obviously warmer than others. Taking a quick look through the live lens of Skycams, a little bit of ambient light out there, so the daylight hours are extending. That's no question about that. But it's been a pretty nice day, as we mentioned earlier on. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar shot here. Just want to point out, if your travels are going to be taking you out to the west coast on the weekend, it could be a rainy weekend in Vancouver, but mostly up along the central coast and northern coast of British Columbia. And then a couple of lows if you're going out to Toronto or Montreal or some points in the Great Lakes and central parts of our country. A Colorado low coming up, followed by a Texas low, and it's just going to be messy. So keep that in mind if that's where your flights are taking you, because there may be some travel delays because of the inclement weather. All right, -14 in Saskatoon, -13 in Prince Albert, -18 in the Battlefords. A hot spot in the province, that was Maple Creek at 1 degree cold. The cold spot, -22, and that was in Prince Albert. Around the province we go. Currently, it is -11 degrees in Regina and Lloydminster and Yorkton, -5 in Swift Current, 1 degree warmer in Moose Jaw, -6 in Estevan. Into central parts of the province, temperatures ranging from -9 degrees in Waskesiu and Hudson Bay down to -19. That's in Watrous. As you can see, a lot of places in those mid to high teens. So there we go. Up north, well, we've got -20 in Stony Rapids, but it warms up to -9 in La Ronge, -8 in Buffalo Narrows, -10 in Sandy Bay Island Falls. And down south, no one on the plus side of the thermometer right now, but -4 degrees in Maple Creek. It's -6 in Coronach, -7 in Carlisle and Broadview, but it cools off to -20 in Last Mountain Regional Park, -11 in a number of communities, -15 in Outlook, -16 in Leader. On to our futurecast. Well, there I was mentioning sort of a north-south line of snow sliding through the province, but really not adding up to a lot. But the wind is going to pick up tomorrow. We're expecting wind gusts, widespread windy conditions with wind gusts up around 40 kilometers an hour. On to the northern part of the province for tomorrow, -11 for La Ronge, -21 in Stony Rapids, a high of -17 in Buffalo Narrows, possibility of some flurries, and -16 in Key Lake, -15 for Meadow Lake, -13 in Spiritwood, -11 in Kindersley, -12 for Rosetown's high, -4 for Maple Creek, -9 in Leader, -12 in Outlook, -8 in Swift Current under mainly cloudy skies. Mainly cloudy conditions for much of the southeastern part of the province. A chance of some flurries in Yorkton, -10 in Regina as well. A little warmer in Moose Jaw and Estevan. And temperatures hovering around that minus 11 or minus 12 degree mark in east central Saskatchewan with a mix of sky conditions. Hudson Bay may see a little flurry activity. Slight chance of flurries for the Battlefords, minus 17 overnight, mainly sunny tomorrow, but the winds do pick up. And then we've got ourselves minus 4 on Saturday, and then a streak of warm conditions all on the plus side. Daytime highs right through to next Thursday. Thursday will be windy, though. Prince Albert area dropping down to minus 19 tonight. Tomorrow's high back to seasonal temperatures, minus 13, but warming up to minus 8 on Saturday, and then 3 degrees on Sunday and Monday, 0 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, and 1 week from today, staying on the plus side at 2 degrees. Minus 20 for Saskatoon with a slight chance of flurries tonight with a risk of frostbite. And then tomorrow, mainly cloudy skies and minus 12. And the 7-day outlook for the Bridge City, minus 6 on Saturday, 2 on the plus side on Sunday and Monday, 1 on Tuesday, back to 2 on Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday is a windy day, and some colder air will be blowing in with that wind.
So say you got a house fire, right? Second level of your house, in your bedroom, right? We all got rope in our bedroom.
The comedy and magic show Hilarious Deceptions is coming to the Broadway Theatre on Friday evening. The curtain goes up at 7:30. Power Slave will be rocking out Friday and Saturday night at Bud's on Broadway. Showtime both nights is 10 o'clock.
Always been my favorite son. Well, your only son.
As far as we know.
Familiar faces populate the screen in Father, Mother, Brother, Sister, the newest offering from celebrated filmmaker Jim Jarmusch. It opens Friday at the Roxy.
When the temperature drops, I have no fear. Mother Nature is showing up what she got.
Saturday evening, Alex Flett will be live on stage at Somewhere Else Bar and Grill. The award-winning Brazilian movie The Secret Agent can be seen at the Broadway Theatre. The next screening of this likely Oscar contender is on Saturday. Check the Broadway website for more dates and times. The latest edition of the Banff Centre Mountain Film Festival World Tour touches down at TCU Place on Monday at 7.
3 boys, and when the boys got close to puberty, it was up to me to give the sex talk to my wife.
Tuesday evening, the Comedy Pit presents its first showcase of 2026. 8 comics performing clean stand-up comedy. That's at Art Bar Theatre starting at 7. Juno winner Philip Chiu opens the 21st season of the Lyle Gustin Recitals with a performance on Friday, January 16th at St. John's Anglican. For more details, please visit the Gustin House website.
I can't find my underwear! Oh no!
Saskatchewan winters are cold, so break out the quilts, comforters, and blankies as Saskatoon Soap's improv comedy presents Snugglefest. Friday, January 16th, 8 o'clock at the Broadway Theatre. Feel free to wear your favorite jammies.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day, and we've got a few celebrations to mark.
We certainly do. We're going to start off with this one. Andy Renault in Tisdale. Oh, no, this is someone else. There we go. We'd like to say thanks to Kevin Sutton. Yeah, Kevin sent us this and said some stellar Bluebird cross-country ski pics from Duck Mountain Provincial Park. I had to look this up. Bluebird conditions for cross-country skiers means blue skies and usually fresh snow. So that's what he meant by that. So thank you, Kevin. Love that shot. And we also have this picture from Andy in Tisdale, and Andy says, "Merry Ukrainian Christmas." So there you go, still a Christmassy shot there. And finally, happy birthday to Norma Hine in Prince Albert. She earned this Prince Albert area. She turns 92. She turned 92 yesterday. Norma is a wonderful mother and grandmother and a loyal CTV Saskatoon viewer. Lots of love from your family. Now, I missed this email yesterday. This is on me. This is on me. Michelle sent this in. Well, Stacey Hine sent this to us. And so we certainly want to pass along our belated happy birthday wishes. I missed it. I'm glad we got it on today. And my apologies. And may I simply say, gratulerer med dagen. That would be happy birthday in Norwegian.
Oh,
all right, then.
Impressive.
Okay.
You almost made up for missing it there.
Almost. I'm sure I still might be in her bad books. No free lutefisk for me. And here's how you can send us pictures.
Still to come on CTV News, a cleated competition. What's brought some top players to a Saskatchewan football field. Baseball season might be over in Saskatchewan, but some of the top players in the province are getting the chance to put on their cleats and helmets for some indoor competition against teams from across North America. Damian Smith takes us inside the battle on the prairies.
It is the largest indoor football tournament in the country.
It's another edition of the Battle on the Prairies underway in Moose Jaw, with 24 teams competing from across Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
And it gives the kids a real opportunity to kind of develop, offense and defense, where you're not constantly punting type thing.
Despite being the farthest traveler, Mauricio Ordonez from Monterrey, Mexico, remembers when the tournament was just 3 teams. He and Stefanovic connected 8 years ago in San Antonio, Texas.
Super exciting to see how the tournament, how Battle on the Prairies have been growing since the first time. It's been great to see this tournament growing and super grateful to be part of this growth.
From players from Mexico, it's not just a chance to play football, but to briefly experience winter on the prairies.
It's so cool, yeah. Cold, yeah. Oh, yeah. So cold, yeah.
Nick Anderson, an American-born linebacker for the Edmonton Elks, knows how important this tournament is, with scouts watching every play.
It really shows how much football just gives kids opportunities, and just to have the opportunity to play against talent from the U.S., from Mexico, from Canada, you're able to grade yourself, and you're able to meet different people, add different things to your game. So I feel like it's a great experience for the kids.
As for local players, it's nice to experience the different styles of play from different countries on their home turf.
American ball is a lot more aggressive, faster, more hitting. Best part of football is just getting to hit people, no repercussions,
The tournament is expected to expand next year heading to 2027, not only in terms of the amount of teams, but also the schedule. Previously, it was 4 days, and now this time it is expected to be 6 days in total for next year's tournament. Damian Smith, CTV News, Moose Jaw.
When we come back, what a recent report suggests about cancer care in the province, and later bringing new meaning to a dropping proposal.
All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at the rural forecast. Why is my hand in my pocket? Okay, it's a magic act. It's out of the pocket. I was just feeling very casual. And we've got ourselves temperatures that are seasonal in so many respects for one more day. Then we're going to see a significant warm-up and then a really big warm-up by the time we hit Sunday. But for now, these are the temperatures we're anticipating. Tomorrow you can certainly see a real interesting mix of sky conditions. Sunny, mainly cloudy, and temperatures for the most part in the minus teens. Now we get into the Hudson Bay area. There's a chance of some snow, but really not adding up to much, as I mentioned earlier on, that north-south line of precipitation making its way through the province. So minus 4 degrees for Maple Creek tomorrow, minus 5 in Coronach, minus 9 in Broadview and Carlisle. Kenora could see a little bit of flurry activity at minus 10 degrees, but really a fairly pleasant day in so many respects across Saskatchewan, and that includes Vanscoy. Vanscoy, it'll be minus 13 degrees. That's a seasonal temperature for this time of year. And the big deal is going to be this wind. Winds tomorrow, starting probably overnight into tomorrow afternoon. Winds out of the northwest, 20, gusting to 40. So yes, it'll be a bit of a breezy day in Vanscoy. And Vanscoy is one of those places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Saskatchewan's NDP is raising concern over a new report about healthcare wait times for cancer patients in our province. According to Saskatchewan Cancer Agency data, 86 people with cancer died before receiving treatment in the 2024-25 fiscal year, many before even seeing an oncologist. The report shows patients were diagnosed with cancers including lung, colorectal, liver, pancreatic, breast, kidney, and bladder. The NDP says the numbers point to a healthcare system in crisis, forcing some patients to seek care outside of the province, while others are left waiting.
Far too many vulnerable people are spending their final days waiting in pain and waiting for help. This isn't acceptable, and it's time for big, bold change in healthcare.
The Saskatchewan Cancer Agency says it treats more than 7,600 people with cancer every year, and several factors can lead to deaths while on wait lists, including late-stage discovery, the patient opting out of pursuing treatment or alternate care, as well as requests for additional testing. The province says it's committed to ensuring patients get timely access to care and that Saskatchewan is making progress on medical wait lists. People in Saskatchewan with ties to Venezuela are watching the changing situation every day. A new leader has assumed the role of interim president since the U.S. capture of the country's leader, and there are major questions on the future of the country's natural resources. But for one Venezuelan-born Canadian, it's a humanities issue and not an issue about money.
I think people don't realize how much their role in all of this really matters. And if we don't speak up, if we don't participate, if we are not educated and awakened, this is a repetition of history that is not going to be good if we don't do something about it immediately.
The latest Canadian census shows fewer than 200 people from Venezuela call Saskatchewan home. Canadian exports to the U.S. fell in October to the lowest level ever recorded when you exclude the pandemic. Morella Fernandez explains.
Canada's overall trade balance went from a surplus in September to a deficit in October. Statistics Canada puts the deficit at $583 million, with Canadians importing more computers, smartphones, and other electronics in October. And that offset gains in unwrought gold Canada exported to countries, excluding the U.S. The trading partners we exported the most to, the U.K. and the U.S. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.14. West Texas Intermediate is up $1.77 to 57.76. Western Canadian Select is down $1.62 to 41.43. And the TSX gained back 243 points today, ending the day at 32,378. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon is $1.22 a litre. The lowest price in town is $1.11.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco was up $2.68 today, and Nutrien finished the day at $82.93. Coming up, a head count that brings all the animals to the yard. Then, when one would-be groom drops his proposal on his future fiancée.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Well, the annual inventory of animals is underway at the London Zoo. Zookeepers are counting up the more than 8,000 animals that they care for. For some, counting is easy. They have, for example, just 2 capybaras, but then they also have 75 Humboldt penguins. So I imagine counting would be a little bit more complex for some.
Oh, exactly, and then you get into fish and things like that. No, it's got to be quite the process.
You probably have to recount the fish a few times.
What is that?
I don't know. Something.
A giant
crawly
centipede kind of thing.
Yes. Okay, I think you'll like this next story,
Okay.
sort of. This is an engagement story to remember. One groom-to-be popped the question on a suspension bridge in Michigan, but the ring slipped right through his fingers, falling 30 meters below. Trevor Van Camp had been planning to propose to Danielle Jenkins for more than a year on a sky bridge at Michigan's Boyne Mountain Resort. When things didn't go according to plan, they searched for the ring for a few hours before going home empty-handed. But a resort employee came to the rescue using a metal detector to track it down, got it back to the couple. And in case you're wondering, after all of that, she did say yes. So all systems go.
All systems go.
What could go wrong on a suspension bridge?
Exactly. You know, it's like, hey, this is a perfect spot. You know, it's like, okay, well. You know.
It's a story to tell for years to come, right?
Oh, yeah. Believe me, he'll hear about it on a regular basis.
Oh, yes. But nice of the employee to help.
Yeah, very nice indeed. I hope they give him a bit of a reward. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know that, but I'll check into it.
I'm just saying I hope.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah,
Gee.
that would be nice. Maybe he gets an invite to the wedding.
That would be good.
He'd
Open
be like
bar.
The best man or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Okay. Good forecast coming?
Look at these numbers. They're okay, but Saturday and Sunday, ooh la la, it's going to be fantastic as we roll into next week.
Look at that wind, though.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank
Just
you.
saying.
Thanks, Debbie
Just
Downer.
pointing it out.
Wah, wah.
Thanks for watching. We got to go.